Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and the Apple Watch Ultra 2 has been out for over 100 days at this point, so I thought we'd go over the design, durability and scratches, bands that I use regularly, talk about the new features such as the display, see what battery life has been like, performance, and much more. Now, the design, of course, we've had for a little while now. With the Apple Watch Ultra 1, Apple introduced this design, and at first I actually didn't really like it that much. Now I actually like it quite a bit, as it looks a little bit more durable and more rugged than what we had before, and it just protects the screen a little bit better. Compared to the previous one, we have a screen that sort of wraps around to the outside edges, which looks nice, a little bit more formal, but if you want something a little more rugged, the Apple Watch Ultra 2 has this flattened display, which I really like, protected by titanium around the outside edge. So it really keeps everything secure, has this rugged look with the digital crown that's protected, and then just buttons off to the side and much more. You're familiar with it. I think it looks great, and it's actually held up really well as far as scratches and more. This is a titanium frame, like I said, and if I turn off the display, we look around the outside of the case, there's not a single scratch on it. Now, over a year or so, I did get a little bit of a nick on one of my cases of the Apple Watch Ultra 1, but I haven't really had any issues here. Banging this into either a concrete wall or a brick wall really has caused no issues whatsoever. The sapphire crystal display holds up incredibly well. Maybe it's a little bit lesser than true sapphire, but it holds up well enough that I've never scratched one. On any sapphire display Apple Watch I've had, there's not a single scratch on any one that I've ever had. That's why I opt for that, whether it's stainless steel or titanium, because it's just a little bit more durable that way. It seems to hold up really well, and the same is true on the back of even the iPhone. I've never actually scratched one of these lenses either, as they hold up really well. So in general, I think it's a very durable watch. I love the design, and even the sensors have held up well. If you drop this, you really don't have to worry about it too much, and it just seems to be very durable in general. Of course, the overall design incorporates the bands that we've always had, and as far as the bands that I use regularly, well, this is the Nomad Titanium band. So I really like this one. It has more of a formal or durable look, but if you want to go outside with something a little bit more maybe lightweight, if you're working out, going for a hike or whatever, the Alpine Loop is my next go-to band. It's super lightweight. It's still a little expensive from Apple at $100, but the Alpine Loop, the Trail Loop we have here, and even the Ocean Band, all of them are very nice. My next go-to band is the Sport Band from Nomad. I've shown these in different videos, but I really like this one. I have a black one for when I go out on the water with a jet ski. They just hold up well, they're durable, they're secure, I don't have to worry about it. So it's not a sponsorship, but it's just something I really like. I've enjoyed using these bands, and maybe there's some better ones out there, but so far these hold up really well for me, so I like using them, and my watch has been secure with them. But I do like this Apple one, although it's still $100. It's definitely a very expensive band, but I do like it in that it's super lightweight with titanium hooks and more. Now, as far as the display, that's one of the upgrades this year, and the display is just super bright. I've never had an issue when I'm outside trying to see it. In fact, when you're up close to it or even far away, it's so bright in the bright sunlight that there's no issue seeing it whatsoever. And with that brightness, of course, it can get super dim this year, which is a little bit of an issue for some people. It's very hard to see in that it's super dim, and that's something that I don't personally appreciate about it. I'd rather just have it sort of bright, but that will save some power as it can ramp down to 1 hertz. And if we turn it on, or maybe you just sort of go to always on display like that, it gets very dark. If I turn the light off in here, you'll see the display. You can still read it, but it can still be a little bit too dark depending on the environment you're in. So that may be my only complaint about it, but it's definitely nice and bright. No issues seeing it in the brightest of sunlight, whether you're on a boat in the middle of the water or you're maybe just hiking and it's a bright day out. Either way, you can see it without an issue. Another thing I really like about it is the titanium frame. Because it's titanium, it doesn't conduct heat very well. So if I'm on the water in a hot day, it actually doesn't get hot on my wrist. That's something maybe some people miss, where you actually have it on your wrist if it's titanium, whether it's this band, you have that sport band I mentioned before that I typically wear with it. it doesn't really matter. It's not getting as hot as what we might have had with previous generations with steel. So the steel will get much hotter, where the titanium is barely warm to the touch, even though it's in direct sunlight. That's something I really appreciate about this. Now, performance is one area it gets an upgrade this year with the S9 system in package, or system on a chip, and it's super fast. Now, I wouldn't say it's incredibly fast compared to what we had before. Some people seem to think so, but loading different apps is just what you would expect. Go into fitness, it loads right away if it was open already. Go into your activity rings. Again, they load nice and quickly. So no issues there. Whether you're opening email, going into a message, going in to check your heart rate, everything just seems to work very quickly. And also you can use those Siri functions so that you can actually log things such as your weight, your health, blood sugar, and much more. So you can talk to Siri with it. That's something I appreciate. Something that you don't really get with all the other versions, where you could say, record my weight as 200 pounds. And it says,
to enable access to health data first.
So as long as you have that enabled, and I switched phones and devices, I may not have enabled it on my latest phone, but as long as that's enabled, it will record that information and work really well. So that's something it has. It also has the ability to use double tap, where you can use it with gestures to start and stop different things. So if you want to play songs, or you want to stop a song, so if you have it on your wrist, and maybe you're playing music here, we'll tap play, connect the device. If I want to double tap and stop, I just double tap with my fingers and it stops. So that part's really nice. I don't know that it needs that extra chipset to do that. However, that's what it requires according to Apple. So it's great that that works well. However, with connectivity, you saw it took a while for my AirPods to connect. That's something that I think they should fix in the future. I haven't had any issues once they're connected using things such as Time to Walk in the fitness app, but for whatever reason, it just takes a while to connect sometimes with my AirPods. I've heard this from others as well, and some others have actually had issues with connectivity. Thankfully, I haven't, but some have actually experienced problems with that. That could be updated with software, of course, with your AirPods, but hopefully they get that right very, very soon. Now, as far as battery life and battery health, well, battery life, this easily gets me through a couple days. Now, I typically charge it every night. I don't use it for sleep tracking. However, I have tried it for that, and it works very well. I used it for about 3 or 4 days. It's accurate. My bed actually tracks sleep anyway, so I don't typically use this, but it's just something that's really nice to have and will get you through a night, through a day, and then through another night, and maybe even another day, depending on how you're using it. If you work out a lot, of course, it may actually use the battery more if you're using GPS functionality and much more. So if you're taking it on hikes and you really need that connectivity, well, that's going to use a little bit more. But battery health, let's go in and go to battery. You'll see battery here. We're at 100%. If we go to our apps, go to our settings, then we scroll down, go into battery. Under battery, scroll down again, battery health and charging, we're at 100%. Now my previous Apple Watch Ultra is still at 100%. And if I can find the actual cycle count, I'll put it here on the left and maybe make a separate video if I can figure out how to do that properly. But either way, this seems to be getting me through a day, no problem. I expect it to last without an issue. And like I said, I put it on a charger every night with optimized charging on. Overall connectivity for cellular and Wi-Fi hasn't been an issue for me either. Where we have cellular, I'm actually using it with T-Mobile without an issue whatsoever. And it seems to be just fine. If I want to go for a walk without my iPhone, I can just leave this at home, walk away. I know it will work. If someone needs to get a hold of me, they can message me, and it just works really well that way. In fact, Siri for messaging always seems to work a little bit better on the Apple Watch. So in general, it seems to be pretty great that way. So connectivity isn't an issue, Wi-Fi isn't an issue for me, and using it for locations and everything else isn't an issue whatsoever. So I think it's a pretty great watch overall. I'm really happy with it. And one thing I plan to do in the future here is use it a lot more for fitness. I'm not typically someone that likes to wear watches or have things on my wrist regularly, so I haven't been using it, but I'll probably start using it for more fitness, to reach some goals that I have this year, we'll talk about in separate videos. But in general, I have used it for Time to Walk, which I think is great. That's what I have the action button actually programmed to, is to go into fitness or workouts here. So we'll open that up. And I do use Time to Walk, or just an outdoor walk from time to time. And I do have some people that follow me on here. But if we just go down, you'll see I haven't used it in a while, but that's something I do plan to use it for quite a bit in this year. So hopefully we can actually get some more real world testing, maybe some hikes and much more if you'd like to see a vlog like that. As far as additional apps, I really don't use too many apps on here except for the one in the middle here, which shows golden hour. If we press and hold, I've shared this watch face before. It's the modular watch face, and this is the app called Lumi. You can show things such as sunrise, sunset, first light, golden hour for taking photos or video. Scroll down, you'll see night ends. You can have a bunch of different options here. There's also an iPhone app. I've been using it for years. I think it works great. It looks great. And I switch between that and typically Modular Ultra. But I do have a few others here. I don't typically really change a whole lot when it comes to the watch face, but that's generally what I use. And so I think the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is great, but I don't think it's much of an upgrade from Apple Watch Ultra 1 that you would need to run out for double tap, the screen that's a little bit brighter, and the ability to actually have that new S9 chip. Other than that, I think it's a great watch if you have an older version. Maybe you don't have a watch that's an Ultra version. Maybe you have a Series 8 or something older, then definitely it's worth picking up. And you may have to get one sooner rather than later, as they could be off the shelves in the USA again. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But in general, I think this is a great watch. It's worth picking up if you want a smartwatch. It also gets the best battery life of any Apple Watch, has the best display, and as long as it's not too large to wear on your wrists, I think it's a great option. As far as future updates to Apple Watch, watchOS 10 is a little bit disappointing in as far as the actual control center and the way you scroll up. I really don't like this interface, and I've heard the same complaint from my children and many other people as well. So my daughter uses an Apple Watch and really doesn't like that. Many people say they'd like it to be back to what it was with watchOS 9. They have brought some of the features back where you can just swipe from side to side to get to the next watch face. I don't have that enabled now, but you can just swipe back and forth. Hopefully we see some updates for usability, as this just doesn't seem to feel the same. Even though I get what they were trying to do, I think many people preferred the interface before. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Of course, if you have any suggestions for apps that I'm not using, maybe to help with fitness or maybe some fun apps or anything else that I haven't mentioned before or you've never seen on my watch, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. I'll link a wallpaper in the description like I normally do, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.